Here's a scene I know too many people have lived through. You open a brokerage account, you've done some research, you buy a few ETFs, then you read a Reddit thread, add 2 more, watch a YouTube video, add 3 more. Someone at work mentions a sector fund, add that too. 6 months later, you're staring at 22 different positions, you have no idea how they overlap, and somehow your portfolio still isn't performing the way you expected. That's not a diversification strategy, that's confusion with a brokerage account attached to it. Here's the thing, complexity doesn't create better returns. It usually just creates more ways to make expensive mistakes. And what's actually wild is you can build a genuinely powerful, well-diversified, long-term portfolio with just 4 ETFs. 5 if you count the most important one of all. And that's exactly what we're doing today. Before we get into the 5 ETFs, I want to say something that doesn't get enough attention in investing content. The goal isn't to own the perfect portfolio. The goal is to own a good enough portfolio for long enough that compounding does the heavy lifting. Those two things sound similar. They are not. Chasing perfection keeps you paralyzed, constantly researching, constantly switching, never fully committed. Chasing good enough keeps you invested, and in long-term investing, time in the market is almost always the deciding factor. The math on that is unambiguous. So here's what we're building: a systematic, low-cost, globally diversified portfolio that you can actually stick with. Let's go layer by layer. ETF number 1, VTI, the foundation. Every structure needs a base before anything else goes on top of it. For your portfolio, that base is VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. Here's what VTI actually holds: roughly 3,500 stocks spanning the entire US market, not just the 500 largest companies like the S&P 500, but mid-cap and small-cap companies too, the ones that don't quite make the S&P 500 cut, but are real growing businesses. Your Nvidias, Apples, Microsofts, they're all here. So is most of what comes after them. Now, here's something you should know. Historically, the US stock market has returned around 10% per year on average over long time horizons, with dividends reinvested. That's the number that gets thrown around, and it's well documented going back over a century. No strategy is perfect, and past returns don't guarantee future results, but that 10% figure has held up remarkably well across multiple decades, multiple recessions, and multiple crises. The expense ratio on VTI? 0.03%, 3 cents for every $100 invested per year. That's $3 annually on a $10,000 position. It's as close to free as any investment product gets. Now, you might be thinking, what about VOBO? That's the S&P 500 ETF from Vanguard. The honest answer is, over the long run, VTI and VOO perform almost identically. The gap between them is not meaningful over decades. Pick one, hold it consistently, and move on. If I were starting from zero today, VTI would be the first ticker I bought. ETF number 2, VT, the global layer. Here's where most American investors quietly drop the ball. They own VTI or a few S&P 500 funds, maybe some sector ETFs, and they call their portfolio diversified. And in one sense, it is. You own hundreds of companies, but you've only bought American companies. That's a massive, concentrated bet on one country's economy, and most people making that bet don't even realize they're making it. Now, you might be thinking, the US market has crushed international markets for the last decade, so why bother? That's a fair point, but here's what most people don't realize. There are extended stretches of history where international markets significantly outperformed the US. The 1970s, most of the 2000s. It happens, and it lasts longer than most people expect. VT, the Vanguard Total World Stock ETF, fixes this in one ticker. VT currently holds over 10,000 companies across more than 45 countries. The geographic split is roughly 61% US and 39% international, meaning you still lean heavily on American economic strength, but you get exposure to Europe, Japan, Canada, Taiwan, and emerging markets across Asia. The expense ratio is 0.06%. That's $6 per year for every $10,000 invested. And it rebalances itself automatically as global market caps shift. You don't have to touch anything. One potential drawback to acknowledge:
VT has lagged pure US funds meaningfully over the last decade. That's real and worth knowing. But no one, and I mean no one, knows whether that trend continues for another 10 years. VT is about reducing the risk of being catastrophically wrong about which region leads next. For most long-term investors, that's worth a small drag in return. ETF number 3, SCHD, the income layer. This one is genuinely different from the first two. SCHD is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, and the way it's constructed matters. To qualify for SCHD, a company has to have paid and grown its dividend for at least 10 consecutive years. Then it goes through additional quality screens, cash flow ratios, return on equity, to filter out companies that are paying high yields they can't actually sustain. The point is this: SCHD doesn't want high yield at any cost. It wants sustainable, growing income. The current top holdings as of July 2026 include United Health Group, Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Merck, and Amgen. These aren't exciting names. They're not going to triple overnight, but they've been writing checks to shareholders through recessions, pandemics, and rate hike cycles, consistently, quarter after quarter. The current dividend yield sits at approximately 3.3%. Here's the math on what that actually means. If you have $50,000 in SCHD, you're collecting roughly $1,650 per year in dividends just for holding it. Reinvest those dividends automatically through a DRIP, dividend reinvestment plan, and that income buys more shares, which generate more dividends, which buy more shares. That compounding on top of compounding is where the real power of this ETF lives. Expense ratio, 0.06%. And SCHD dividends are classified as qualified dividends, taxed at the lower long-term capital gains rate rather than ordinary income. For investors in taxable accounts, that's a meaningful tax advantage over bond interest.
ETF number 4, SGOV, the defensive layer. Now, here's the part of the portfolio most people get completely wrong, and it costs them badly when markets turn. Most people treat their cash like it doesn't matter. It sits in a checking account earning 0.01%. Then the market drops 20%, they panic, they don't have enough liquid reserves, and they sell their investments at exactly the wrong time to cover expenses. SGOV, the iShares 0 to 3-month Treasury bond ETF from BlackRock, addresses this directly. What SGOV holds is ultra short-term US government debt, Treasury bills with maturities of 3 months or less. In finance, T-bills are the standard definition of the risk-free rate. You're essentially getting government-backed yield on what functions as a cash equivalent. The 30-day SEC yield is currently around 3.56%. The expense ratio is 0.09%. Your net yield after fees holds right around 3.5%. Here's something most people don't realize about SGOV. If you live in a high-income tax state, California, New York, New Jersey, the interest from Treasury securities is generally exempt from state and local income taxes while still subject to federal tax. Compare that to a high-yield savings account or a money market fund, which don't carry that exemption. In high-tax states, the effective after-tax advantage is material. SGOV is liquid, low risk, and earns you something meaningful while your money waits. That is exactly what your emergency fund and short-term cash reserves should be doing. Sitting in a checking account earning nothing isn't being safe. It's a guaranteed slow loss to inflation. The 5th ETF, invest in yourself. I want to be direct with you here. The 5th one isn't a ticker symbol. There's no expense ratio. You won't find it on any brokerage platform. It's you. Here's the math that most personal finance content ignores. A consistent 10% annual return on $10,000 grows to about $174,000 over 30 years. That's real and it's meaningful. But a skill that increases your annual income by $10,000 consistently invested over the same 30 years generates far more wealth than any index fund alone. The two together are compounding in parallel. I'm not telling you to quit your job or start a business tomorrow. What I am telling you is this: treat your earning potential as your most valuable asset, because it is. Every dollar you can earn more is a dollar that can be invested, compounded, and turned into something that pays you back for decades. Read the books your industry respects. Build the skill set that makes you harder to replace. Find the niche where your effort directly translates into your income. Take that seriously.
That's the fifth ETF. Let me bring it back to where we started. You don't need 22 ETFs. You don't need to time the market. You don't need a complex rebalancing algorithm that takes hours to run every quarter. 4 tickers and a mindset. No strategy is perfect, and all of these will have drawdowns, that's guaranteed. But this framework gives you a durable, cost-efficient, globally diversified portfolio that you can maintain without constant intervention and that is built to compound over decades. The only thing standing between you and this working is actually starting. Hit the subscribe button for more of this. Thumbs up if this helped, and I'll see you in the next one. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. All investing involves risk. Historical returns do not guarantee future performance. Consult a qualified financial advisor for guidance specific to your situation.